Hey there, I'm Alex and welcome back to the garden project series where myself and my dad aim to create a garden. Now the more I work on this project, the clearer the vision becomes, and I want to tell you where I'm currently at with my plans. So we have two main spaces that we are working on, the front garden and the back garden. The aim with the front garden is to remove a lot of the lawn. We want to have less lawn and more flower bed space. Lots of perennial flowers, grasses. It'll be a kind of ornamental style garden, but I also want it to feel relaxed and reasonably natural in keeping with the surrounding area. And then in contrast, we've got the back garden, which is kind of split into two different sections. We've got the kitchen garden made up of raised beds. Obviously, I'll be planting lots of edible things in there. And then we've got a secluded area, which for now I'm calling the Mediterranean garden, because I want to grow things like palm trees, bananas, and Mediterranean herbs like rosemary and thyme. So essentially we've got front garden, kitchen garden, and then Mediterranean garden. Three kind of separate feelings, three different separate spaces. And there's quite a lot of work to get on with. It's quite hard to know where to start. However, when I was making lists of things that need to be done, I've decided that I'm going to prioritize the lawn and the planting in the front garden and also the hard landscaping in the back garden. In fact, the back garden is really taking priority right now. We want to lay some patio and I want to get all this done before spring when I can plant out my vegetable crops in those raised beds. I have quite a busy weekend ahead of me and I'll tell you why. We're going to be getting rid of all the gravel in the kitchen garden. In the back garden, the floor, the ground is currently a layer of these quite large pebbles. You know when you're walking along a pebbly beach and your feet are sinking in, there's quite a lot of resistance as you walk. That's the sort of thing we've got here. And although it's fine, it works, it doesn't look terrible, I like it. I have an idea for something that I would prefer. And now that I have that idea in mind, I need to go and make that happen. Now I got a skip delivered yesterday. The skip has arrived and the job is to fill that skip up with all this stone. I've got that hired for 3 days, so the next 3 days are going to be pretty busy. My dad is coming around tomorrow to help out for the weekend, and the aim is to get all those stones into the skip.
I agree, it does seem a little bit strange to take gravel away and then bring gravel in, but there's two main reasons why we would go to that effort. First of all, this gravel has been laid on top of a membrane, on top of the soil, which means that it's floating around on top of the membrane. We'd replace it with 5 or 6 millimeter gravel, which would be sharp, which would mean that it would bond together, which would mean that it would give a firm surface to walk on and also look much more refined and sophisticated. But in order to do all of that, we need to take the existing gravel away. We need to dig out the soil from underneath, replace it with some aggregate type 1, which we can compact. Once that's compacted and level, then we can put a thin layer of 6 millimeter gravel on top and compact that in, and then just finish with a dusting of gravel. So you'll end up with a very solid, firm surface with a very thin layer of fine gravel. It will look and feel much, much better. So there's quite a few things to work out, and there's quite a lot of stuff to move around, and really the only way to do it is to dive in. Camera in the skip.
So midday update, we have removed quite a bit of the pebbles, the stones, and we've realized that there is a concrete layer underneath it all. Well, I thought it was going to be soil. So we might need to remove some of that concrete, which could be a bit of a pain. We've still got to load the rest of the skip with stones, and Dad is currently arranging the patio slabs into a nice looking pattern. We've got the rough shape of the new bed, because all of this is all rotten, all these wooden planters. And my dad has been rearranging the patio, so that now this is going to be where the patio is laid. Oh no. What? I thought it'd be fun. My roof, I've got to redo that roof at some point soon.
This one I might have to get fixed from next year. So that's the concrete there.
Well, it's looking quite a bit different to how it did this morning. There you can see the remains of the pond. I kept all the plants that were in there, so we've got some what I think are irises and also a willow tree saved. And then the shape of the patio is there. Obviously that needs to be concreted in place and leveled nicely. We removed most of the gravel from this sort of third of the garden, and the skip is pretty much full, so that's job done. But we've obviously got all this gravel to remove, and then all the gravel down there. Still a lot to do, but not a bad day of work. I'm tired and I don't want to do any more barrowing or digging of stones. Day one complete. The white line indicates where I'll be making a flower bed, and within this bed my current plan is to plant 3 column fruit trees, maybe apples, and around these will be a mix of annual and perennial flowers. To do this, the bed would need to be dug out, and this involves smashing up a load of concrete and digging out all the rubble.
Very nice. Once you've got an egg, it's hit really hard and overdry. I didn't realise how much I'd levered it. And then it went.
No, mate, it's been great, TV. Whilst hitting out and smashing up this hard material, I couldn't help but give concrete a deeper thought. What actually is it? Who invented it? And how is it so strong? Earliest records of concrete date back to 6500 BC, when the Nabateans made concrete structures in Jordan and Syria. But the concrete that we know and use today, made from Portland cement, was invented by Joseph Aspdin about 200 years ago. This cement is made by heating up limestone and clay before grinding it down into a fine powder. This is then mixed with sand and water to form concrete. Once the cement and sand mix is hydrated with water, a chemical reaction happens between the materials that after some time will leave you with an incredibly hard structure.
You only got through because I got through halfway.
After much sledgehammering and pickaxing, I got distracted and decided to tackle the overgrown fig tree. Well, this might look a little bit brutal, but we've got a plan for this fig, and we're going to cut back all the main stems and we're going to train it along the wall rather than it coming out loads off the wall. We're going to train it against the wall, which will allow more light to get to the pear, and we're going to have all these bits here as beds that we're going to plant up. I was meant to leave 3 branches that I would then train up the wall. However, I accidentally cut them off. So now we have cut the fig tree completely down to the ground. I'm hoping it's not too affected by this and it will grow back. Now we're going to wait for it to grow back next year and train it up the wall. Frustratingly, we are currently just making an absolute mess in the garden. And I think it's important to remember that whenever you take on a big project, it takes time. But as I've mentioned before, my aim for the garden is to create a space which is full of plants, full of flowers, and create a space which is not only aesthetically pleasing for us to look at, but also a practical garden that we can take food from and cook up in the kitchen, but also a space which brings in wildlife diversity. A garden can be so much more beautiful when you've got the movement of bees flying from flower to flower, or a little mouse which is scurrying around in the undergrowth. Now, I absolutely love nature. It's where I spend almost all my time, whether it be walking out in the countryside, working in the garden, or playing with my bees. And that's why I'm super proud to be partnering up with my friends over at Planet Wild. They're doing an incredible job of protecting nature with the help of a growing community that you could also be part of. Every month, the community of over 20,000 members funds a mission to bring back endangered species, protect the oceans, and restore forests. Think of it like crowdfunding for nature. I find the best part of being a member of Planet Wild is that you can see exactly where the money is going. Each month, Planet Wild creates a new video. Within these videos, the team clearly explains the problems that are being faced and how our community contributions are helping to solve them. For example, in this one, they help rewild a green desert in Spain. As a Planet Wild member, you will be funding a new nature protection project every single month. You'll be able to engage and chat with the community, and you'll get monthly videos and text reports detailing and explaining exactly how the money is being spent and how you're making an impact. You can contribute whatever amount you like, large or small, every bit counts. But in this video, I'm going to be giving away a little gift to the viewers of this video. The first 100 people to sign up using my code, justalex2, will get the first month paid for by me. And to claim your first free month, either scan the QR code on screen now or click the link in the video's description. There's no catch, you can cancel at any time, but I hope you find the work that Planet Wild are doing just as interesting as I do. If you want to see them in action, check out their mission Rewilding a Green Desert with the link in the video's description. Anyway, back to the garden. Meanwhile, in the front garden, so we are doing the final marking of the lawn size. So we've got the rope down, and now Dad's gonna spray paint it, and then we're gonna cut it out.
It's making it look right.
Isn't he doing a splendid job? Ready to play football.
Okay, so it's a bit Heath Robinson. 3 inches maybe? Down to the clay basically here, but...
So after 2 full days of work, where are we currently at? Well, we've just created a big mess really. The skip is full, so I need to get another one in, and we have a pile of broken up concrete ready to get rid of. And in the front garden, you can now see where the lawn will be. Everything to the left of the soil line will turn into planting space. And at some point, we'll be needing a load of topsoil to pile onto the flower bed, and that will be coming at a later date.
Alex has disappeared. He's gone to play with the bees. Said he'd be about an hour and a half. Left me to do the hard work, as usual. I feel I should mention that I was a professional designer, and Alex might have mentioned it in the last film. I did quite a lot of that, but as you'll see from this film, I am 100% not a professional landscaper. That's something that I used professionals for when I did my designs. So everything you see today is very, very amateurish. Checking the picture photograph we took of the paving to check that I got the pattern right, because as designer I should get the pattern right even if I can't lay the slabs properly.
Hello, look at that, what a hard worker, eh?
I think that's about as close as we're going to get.
The mortar mix we were using consisted of 4 parts sand and 1 part cement. Water is then mixed in until a workable texture is reached. You want it to squeeze out, right?
You want it to squeeze and contact the back of the slab. Look at that.
I'll start 4:30 in the morning in Sussex, drive for 3.5 hours. It's quite a nice drive actually. It's the last bit through the countryside. And I get to see Stonehenge just as the sun comes up. We work until it gets dark, and then we go to the pub and have beer and chips. So that's really why I'm coming. And then get up the next day and do it again. Exactly the same. Really hard work, but actually it's really good fun. I think the only reason I'm doing it is because you buy me beer at the end of the day. The beer tastes better after 8 hours of bashing up concrete and filling up skips. And we are doing it in January, which is about as bad weather-wise as you could do it. But I find it actually easier because you work harder because you kind of keep warm. You can't stop and sit around like you can in the summer. And it's really satisfying making something. It's creating something in a lovely place for someone that matters. So, it's a no-brainer.
Oh.
Oh.
Hello. Unfortunately, we've got to get rid of all of this concrete from here around the bed here because Alex wants it to be a flower bed. Bad news is that the top layer of concrete is really hard about an inch thick, really dense and hard. And then the good news is after that, it's 3 or 4 inches of soft stuff. So once we get through the surface, I think it won't be too bad. It's a lot of hard work for an old man.
I wonder if I could get a ladder out of this bedroom, like an escape route in case there's a fire. The reason I want to turn it into flower bed is so we can put a big plant there, a big plant there, and maybe some palm trees, and then plants all around this bit here, and then ferns over the back. I think it will just make it a very nice place to sit in the summer. It's going to be yet another day of smashing up concrete and filling up another skip. I am quite happy with how the wisteria is now trained along the wooden wood. The wooden wood? It's way more thinned out. I'm looking forward to seeing how that grows. I hate concrete. Look at this, we are doing it.
It looks like you've done all the hard work. Remember going to Rome when you were a kid?
I don't in fact remember much of my trip to Rome when I was a kid, but I did visit more recently, a few years ago, and there you can see some fine examples of how the Romans used concrete to build many impressive buildings some 2,000 years ago. My garden project seems a little dull and not very impressive after those previous clips of what the Romans were working on. Anyway, back to the work, more barrowing, more filling up the skip. I feel like this is the first bit of putting back together we've done, other than the patio. There was some soil built up there, and so we've been moving the soil and shaping the flower bed, slowly coming together. The patio is looking very nice.
Because it's all sloping and we want a constant slope, not a sudden or undulating slope. The string is the finished level, so it's where the gravel is, where the flower bed is, and where the gravel is, up to the greenhouse. And these pegs are marking the edge of the bed and also the height of the bed. So I should be able to build the type 1 around the outside up to the peg, and the soil in the middle up to the peg. Good news. When I banged all 4 of these pegs in, it went straight down into the clay. So we've dug out all of the rubble, and underneath it's clay. So basically it's subsoil. So if we put 30, 35, 40 centimetres of good topsoil on top, that'll be fine. Double-ended donger.
Double-ended donger.
Yeah. Basically, people used to call it a bucket handle because the brickies used to make them out of handles, bucket handles, apparently. But it's a pointing tool, obviously, but it's got a narrow one and a fatter one. And because the joints in here, some are wider and some are narrower, it's handy to have this so you can do all the joints with the same tool. Use a different end.
To wrap up another few days of work, we finished getting out all the old stones as well as digging out the border between the lawn and the patio in the front garden, which would be turned into more growing space. There's a common theme appearing, and that is removing hard structures and replacing it for planting space, because I want to fit as many plants in as possible. I understand that the progress that we're making is slow. I hope it hasn't been too boring for you to watch, but we are starting to put some of the pieces together. I'm particularly excited and happy about the patio, and I'm really looking forward to getting all the stuff around it nice and level. I keep dreaming about the day where I can start planting the plants, but I can't get too ahead of myself. I once again want to direct you over to Planet Wild, where the first 100 people to use my QR code or link in the video's description will get the first month of membership paid for by me. And if you want a further look into the work that Planet Wild are doing, then check out their mission, Rewilding a Green Desert here. Thanks for watching everyone, I'll see you soon.